think you guys might have to accept or something. Okay, kiddos. So what do we got? Student cadre numero
Three,
dos?
or no, this is number 3.
I have no
What's our
idea.
group number? 26.
Oh yeah, nice. Look at you remembering stuff. No tengo ni idea. I have no idea, you guys. I'm just like so tired and feel like I got a lot on my plate, but I'm doing it. We're working it. We're rocking and we're rolling. How are you guys doing?
Good, crazy.
Yeah, there's light at the end of the tunnel. That's what I just keep telling myself is that the end is near. Yeah, the end is near. And like that's the thing too, is I was looking at my schedule that me and my corporate teacher put together, and I'm like, okay, like basically next week, like I'm starting to hand off some things to her, and I'm like, holy crap, like that's insane. Like we've been going like full force for a very solid amount of time, and now it's like I'm slowly gonna start handing things off to her, which one is super sad, but two, I'm just excited that like the PPAT is almost done. That's what I'm most excited for. Knowing that like eventually when I start handing things off is when really the PPAT's going to be done with. I don't know. Like I said, there's light at the end of the tunnel and I'm so ready for it to be here.
Amen. I'm gonna just give this a little woo woo. Can you obviously been teaching my night class in Spanish on Zoom. When I'm like in here on Zoom, I just want to like revert to Spanish and all of that. So sorry, it's like a whole mindset. But yeah, we're just like trying to make it, and I don't know. I think I'm looking forward to getting the PPAT done, absolutely. But you know, it's just I'm gonna just continue with my school year after this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like less, of course, of this daunting task. Although I'm excited, I feel like I'm a lot more intentional. I'm thinking a lot more about like what I'm doing and how I'm doing it and all of that. So that's good. But I'm interested what it's going to look like for you guys. Like, what day are you like done and you just walk away from these kids? It's just occurring to me that that's what you're going to do, right?
December 9th.
Mine's December 2nd.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what's after that?
I'll be substituting. That's my game plan. But I haven't even taken my praxis yet. So hopefully I have so much to do tomorrow after our whole meeting. Like I have to apply for licensure. I haven't done that yet.
I haven't either.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I've got to do that, and then I have to sign up to take the praxis, which I'll probably do like those 2 weeks after I'm officially done student teaching, and then yeah, I just feel like there's so much.
One praxis, right? Is it just one? It's two.
Oh, 2.
I have to take 2.
And what are they? There's the K through 12, right?
No, I'm not going to take that. Maybe I will. I don't know. One is the principles of learning and teaching K through 6, and then the other one is like content knowledge.
Okay.
Yeah, which I think is like 4 different subtests in one test.
And
So
different subjects, so like a math and an ELA and a
yeah.
Okay. Okay. And what about you? So what's happening after you're done? And
so same thing. I start handing over next week.
Wow.
But I have a job. So as soon as I get my license, I will be full-time. Well, even before that. So if my license doesn't come in or whatever, like I will be the position that I take. They'll just pay me as a sub until they can officially hire me as a full-time teacher.
So you're going to be in the same class with the same kids and everything for the rest of the school year?
No, it'll be, I don't know if they're classifying it as at risk or intervention. But I will be in 3rd grade, so that we have 3 classes of each grade in our building. And 3rd is they need help. They're struggling. And I think a lot of it, and no offense, Sarah, but I think a lot of it is they're like baby adults. And they just don't have that life experience to bring this group of kids that's like really strong-willed to like heed a little bit. So those kids are just running all over them and it's a mess. So 2 of them are getting interns, and then I will be there plus we have support staff. So there will be 6 people all the time.
Wow.
Wow.
And as soon as I get there, we will divide core and tiers into 4 groups.
Wow.
It is that bad.
It's a mega operation.
It is.
You just jump right in. And this is going to be like December 10th or whatever, or are you coming back in January? Like you're just going, you shift right into it.
Yeah. As soon as I'm done and I can technically work. So, I mean, like, this is what I don't understand about Fort Hayes' program is that K-State, they do not turn in their PPAT for their final task for their PPAT, like 1 week until they're done. Like they turn in their PPAT and then they have their last week with the students at the end of December or in December. So why are we turn ours in and we're done?
But I thought it was like a national deadline. I don't think this is set by Fort Hayes, right?
I thought that too, because I even talked to my reading teacher about it, and I was like, the deadline's just like the deadlines are happening when like I know April, your situation is different because you're like full time into it all the day, every day. But like for Alyssa and I, like I feel like task 2 and task 3 was getting really heavy right when like we were really picking up on like teaching full time with like, all of that stuff. So, but then I was talking to my cooperating teacher and then also my university supervisor, and my US said that it's like, is it the state of Kansas? It's either the state of Kansas or it's the like a US thing. Like I think really it's just the state of Kansas. And that every department, yeah. And that every like education school has to do something along the lines of the PPAT, but they just might call it something different.
Yeah.
But,
Right.
I have a coworker who is in my same situation where he's been teaching full time, I think the last 2 years. And he's finishing his student teaching and master's and all of that through Rockhurst University on the Missouri side. And he's not having to do the PPAT. I mean, he's doing something similar, but he's also, having people who are from Rockhurst University come into his classroom several times, and which is since it's local, right in Kansas City. So I think that might. I've decided, which I don't know if this is true, but I feel like the fact that we're a virtual school at Fort Hayes, maybe that had something to do with why they're going with this particular option for it all. But it is like PPAT, like the whole thing is a praxis day, right? Like it's not like Kansas decides that we're handing in ours on November 9th, right? I thought it looked to me like it was just like anybody who's doing a PPAT, which I assumed other states were doing it, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you're probably right. Like looking at this, but what, who made that timeline? Like,
I know.
and why was it necessary for 2 and 3 to be due at the same time? Right. And then
like told me to make a lesson during that or make a video rather, like I would have freaking made a video and then done this whole task 4 with what I did there. Because they're like, oh, it can be related. Okay. Oh, it can be the exact same thing. Okay. Well, I didn't make a video, unfortunately, but I don't know if I would have been ready to, honestly, because having made the video today, just the logistics of it was really stressful. So honestly, guys, in hindsight, like dealing with what I was dealing with task 2, task 3, and how to figure out how to make this video so that it captures what it needs to capture. It's visible, it's audio, it's audible, it's within the right file size. It's able to be trimmed or not. It's 15 minutes. Like all of those things on top of task 2 and 3 I might have cracked. Like that might have been just too much. So,
and I hate that it is 15 minutes. Like what can you honestly see in 15 minutes?
Well,
and then like I watched it 3 times to make sure, and with my list that they sent us, and was like highlighting and writing in like, okay, here's where I did this, here's this that correlates with this, to make sure that I had all that stuff in the 15
I didn't realize you already did your video today, or you already did the 15-minute video.
I did mine on Monday in case that, because I did it over social studies. So we have social studies Monday and Tuesday and Thursday. And so I was like, I want to do it Monday, which we just got off a 4-day weekend. So I was like, it's real life. Like,
right, exactly.
It's real life. And so I'm going to put that like in the demographic box thing, like and the week before that was, so we had 2 3-day weeks in a row because of student teacher conferences and the national holidays. So the kids are a mess. Like, and I'm so glad that it was yesterday versus today, because like I told my CT, I was like, I feel like I have lost every ounce of control that I had over these kids today.
It could have just been a bad day. You know, they're all, the weather's changing, it's getting dark sooner, Halloween's around the corner. I think there's a shift that kind of happens. And my kids, they're seniors, and so they're really stressed out about college applications, that November 1st deadline. And some of, I mean, it's an AP class at like a college prep school. So I have one student who's applying to like literally, I think like 14 universities that she's got to write all these different essays for. And, you know, like they are stressed to the max as well. Like my kids are just like off the charts stressed out right now. I had one who was out for the whole week for with COVID. So it was a rough week for them too, but I told my students when I was making it, because they're big kids, like they know what's going on. When I'm like staging a video and like mic check, you know, like they're like, Senora, what's up? They know what's happening. And they got nervous, you know, because they want to do good. And I just kept reminding them, listen, they're not evaluating you. They're evaluating me. They are evaluating me. They're not evaluating you. So I feel like that's true, that they're not going to hold it against you, that your kids were being kids automatically, you know, like they're going to think about how you handled it, I would think. And that's what you guys told me. I think I had to do a university supervisor video that my kids were like, oh, and I was like, well, and you guys were like, hey, you know what? And it really helped. And it seemed by the feedback, they didn't seem to hold it against me. So that was good.
When you, sorry, go for it.
No, you go ahead. I already talked a little bit.
I'm just asking a question because you guys have both recorded. So when you recorded your lessons, because I'm recording mine on Thursday and I'm super nervous. First and foremost, Alyssa, did you use a microphone?
No, I just have my iPad, and
because I'm just going to use my personal laptop and call it a day.
Yeah. And that's all I did. And like when I was going back, like I'm kind of off the screen in one of the things, and I'm so, why the one kid that isn't in the screen like have the most perfect moment of like just perfection? Like he was stimming out and I was like, bro, why are we stimming? What's happening? Like help me understand you. And like it was just a really great like connection moment, and like bringing him back to center, and like it wasn't disruptive. He is not disruptive. He just flaps like a chicken. And so but at this point in the year, everyone is used to this. Like this is not abnormal behavior, but I know that he is stressing. And so I was just like, really? So, but I mean, like, what can I do? I'm not recording the whole darn thing again. I'm not.
No. And you can't predict what they're going to do.
You know, yep. And so it is what it is. So yeah, I mean, but like you can hear everything with my mic, everything.
Yeah, I got a little conference room microphone that I know you're local, that we're in the same. So if you want to borrow it, it seemed to work better. Like I didn't watch my first 2 videos very closely because it obviously it just stresses me out to like watch that. I'm like, I can't do that though. Yeah. But one of my observations did say that it was really hard for them to understand it. So I took that to heart and got a little conference board microphone, like I said. And you can borrow it, Sarah, if you need it. It did help. Okay. I mean, I tested it out before I decided it was going to help. And then I was going to record using Zoom, but the Wi-Fi at my school is crazy, and it's getting like worse by the day. I can't count on it. So I ended up using QuickTime, and it was nice because I was able to. Like for instance, I opened Zoom the first time I'd recorded and forgot to hit record. I just opened Zoom and I'm like, okay, here we go. No, like that was, I don't know, it seemed a little bit easier to just get it going. But you can also select on the camera if it's medium or low or high quality, which for the file size is going to matter. And then on iMovie QuickTime, you can export it as and like a smaller size. So I got mine down to, it's 480 pixels, which is not like tiny. It takes up like half the screen. But my 2 videos that I had recorded were too big. So I was going to have to deal with that. But I ended up being able to export it to be smaller. So I'm thinking it's going to be good. So it was an experiment this morning, like before I went to work. I'm like, what do I do? I'm going to try this QuickTime stuff. And so I tried it at my desk downstairs in my kitchen to just kind of find my way around it. And I think it's going to work. I think it's good. I'm not recording it again. He said we don't want it to be too small, but I don't think it is.
And I just use
Hold on. Uh-oh.
that way. And then when I exported it from my iPad to my laptop, it automatically puts it, and then I edit it in iMovie. And then I took that and sent it in like the 750, which is kind of like right in the middle, to my QuickTime.
Mm-hmm.
And I was still like 8:30 or something MB. And so then I just exported it again onto my desktop in a smaller file size, and then I was fine.
Okay.
So, but my problem
on pixels somehow to get it smaller. Like how do you? I'm wondering how you exported it. But I mean, I exported it and it just it gave me the option to make it smaller pixels, and I went for it.
That's what I did.
Okay.
Mhm.
So would recommend using QuickTime. But were you going to use Zoom, Sarah, to record?
I was going to use Zoom.
I mean, that worked for me.
I'm stressing out now. I'm stressing out. I'm so stressed. Anyways, I don't know what I'm gonna use. I'll probably use QuickTime. I don't even know if I have it on my laptop. I'll have to download it.
It comes with the Apple Suite there.
Mhm.
It's right there. Just go to find
it. Really? Okay.
Yeah. It comes Suite.
And then I saw Dr. Rigler or Mr. Gregory. I'm not really quite sure which one. They sent out like a checklist. Alyssa, I think you might mentioned it. Did you both use that and like to talk about things in your video?
I mean, I found that like you mean like how are you showing critical thinking and literacy and things like that?
Yes.
I
yeah, and like
as
in your video.
Yeah, I thought about that definitely as I was planning the lesson, and I thought about that in what I chose to record for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing like a legend from the Aztec world, so it was super easy to integrate things like literacy and critical thinking, and like it wasn't hard for me to think about those things just based on what it was that I was teaching. So
what type of lessons, Sarah, are you going to use?
Math. I'm just going to do a math lesson. And then I was just going to record my kids working on the problem set. I think there's ways that I can like incorporate everything into there. I won't be able to necessarily show them how I'm going to integrate literacy at the beginning of my lesson. I'm going to read a book that has something to do with math and like adding, having like different add-ins that have a sum of 10, and that's going to go along with like our lesson. And so I'm just going to reference that, like our book at the beginning of the lesson when I start recording. So they kind of, just making that reference toward the literacy aspect of that. And hopefully.
Are there even going to be like directions on the problem set? Like will the directions be like type like in Word? Maybe you can, direct them to that and ask them to like, pay close attention or underline or something, the important phrases.
Okay.
And that would cut out some of your time, right? Like you can still read them your book.
You're right.
But like for your like video recording to get everything in, that would cut out a chunk of the time of you reading the book to get to your meat.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the thing. I was going to do all that off of camera anyways.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like I was like the only like 15 minutes that I am going to record is literally just them doing the problem set. My only problem is I don't know how many questions I'll be able to fit in that 15 minutes, I don't know. I mean,
but that's fine, right? Because if you have them read the directions and underline the important pieces in those directions, you've covered your literacy and your critical thinking.
Right. So and that's also a part where I'm kind of stuck about doing critical thinking for math. Obviously for when you like, there's the part where it's like, what kind of questions are you going to ask? Well, I'm going to be asking like deeper level questions, like harder level questions to really get them like to think about, okay, what's really going on? But I'm not quite sure how to even integrate critical thinking into math. Like that's where I'm kind of like, eek, I have I'm like really stuck on that.
But that seems
Are you
like
going-
critical thinking right there, that you're asking them higher level questions involves critical
Right. And
thinking.
so that's where I was like, I might like obviously not use the same answer for deeper level, like questioning and whatnot. But
So
like
if
my
you
like that's the way I would do it though. And so I
and
hope
if you ask them the problem question,
Mhm.
okay, and then they answer that, and then if you ask, like, follow that with like, well, why is that?
Right.
Or what is the purpose of that? Those
Uh-huh.
are two separate questions, each covering one of those things.
Okay, so I think I'm just gonna go with my gut and say that is my critical thinking part then.
And then also, like, if you're asking them questions or like saying, hey, like last week we covered this,
Uh-huh.
right? And then like they tell you what you like, they kind of like tell you what they did last week. That's higher level and critical thinking also.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I'm realizing now that what I like planned to do is we're talking about having them explain why. I meant to kind of have people justify their responses within some of the stuff that I did. Um, but I didn't get to that because I looked down and I'm like, oh my God, there's 4 minutes left. Ah! So I guess you just have to confront that. And there's a part, you know, where you reflect on the lesson and you think about
Yeah.
what would you have done differently? And I might not be afraid to be like, well, given that I could only record this for 15 minutes,
Yeah.
I wish
I
that I
mean,
would have had more time to get them to justify their responses. But I just felt like I was rushed and didn't have the time to do that or something in my reflection.
but and that's the thing too, is one thing that I'm just like, why? Is I understand that like not, these people, these graders, like they don't want to watch thousands of videos about a lesson. Like I totally understand that that's like a lot of time. But then again, like they were once a teacher, at least I would hope. They should understand what we're going through. So why would they not increase our time? Like 5 minutes can go a long way. If it was for 15 to 20 minutes, or like, but
Oh
then
yeah,
again,
if it was
they
15 to
understand.
20, it'd have been golden. I would have been better. It would
Yeah.
have been great. But because I like had to cut it off at 15 minutes, I felt like it was do or die, like
Right.
I'm either going to finish this activity and introduce the part where I'm having them do a comparison, which is part of meeting the standards,
Mhm.
or I'm going to not get that in there. And, and you have to make these decisions on the fly. And gosh, there is an answer a question where it asks something about like, oh gosh, what was it? What did they say or do during the lesson essentially that made you change your plan, kind of like, I'm paraphrasing extremely, but basically how they behave in the lesson like guide you on the fly? And I'm almost ready to be like, listen, the only thing that was able to guide me on the fly was that I had 15 minutes, period.
Right.
That's what was
Yeah.
everything that I said and did, honestly. But I guess
This one,
something up like, I didn't ask them to justify their responses because as I walked around the room, I noticed everybody had the exact same answer. Clearly, they didn't need to go through that. Maybe that's what I do.
there you go.
You think?
Do you mean this question? In what ways did the strategies engage students to promote positive learning environment?
Not that one. But there's something, it's in the area. It's in that zone. But
How do you provide feedback to individuals and whole class?
are you just looking at the
Learning?
ones in the video? The question I'm thinking about is not a like cite your video.
Oh, like
Might not be.
on the PCAT one?
Yeah, it's a different prompt, I think.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about because I thought nobody could plan for that.
Yeah. But it does happen though. I will say, like you're ready to move on to one thing and it turns out that half the class is clearly not grasping it. But it can work too, where I planned on spending more time on this, but I could tell by my observations that I didn't need to ask them to justify their response, and so I didn't, I suppose.
I like that. I would, for sure. I think you should use that for sure. That's good.
Have to. But
And that's it,
right.
because I think our graders are going to understand that like not everything that is in our whole entire lesson is going to be incorporated in those 15 minutes too. So they know that there's going to be a lot of more things gosh, words, a lot more things that are happening outside of that video for you to be able to talk on to,
Yeah.
you know?
I mean, I guess it depends too. It's like it's an individual who's grading it. It's like a college board graders or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm still a little stressed because on our past 3, I think I submitted a 2-page lesson plan when I was only supposed to submit 1 page. And like this person may or may not scroll to the 2nd page to see that I've actually done what they asked me to do. And so I'm hoping that they do. Please.
And I hate that
do.
we don't have our feedback until next Wednesday.
Yeah.
Like, what if my feedback on 2 or 3 is like, you suck and you need to redo all you do? Like, then I have to scramble.
Yeah, Mm-hmm.
I think it's gonna be fine. Remember, he said 2s and 3s is all you need because all you need is 50%. So if you are looking and you're going overall, you're getting like 2s and 3s, you're good. Even all 2s, couple 3s out of 4.
I also wish that, like, even though I know that part 1 was not scored, I wish they could have given us a faux score based on our rubric so that we knew going into 2 and 3 what our we know what our quality of work is for the rubric, right? But like what that equates to in their terminology and currency system of points. Because we don't know.
So are you saying, I don't think I followed, because I felt like we got fairly decent feedback. Like for every prompt, I got a score. But what do you think I wish you would have gotten?
So, right.
Do you mean like an overall score, like for each point?
Like how many
question
points?
You can get so many points out of the 4, but like really for like task 2, you can get a total of 12 points.
Right.
So like, what would that overall like big score be for task 1? Is that what you mean?
Yes. So that we could equip what they gave us on the rubric to their version of points. Does that make sense?
I guess I didn't really realize that it didn't match up. I'm just like, I guess I'm just doing my best and trying to answer the prompts and following the library of examples. And I haven't looked at the rubric much because I feel like the library of examples is helping me.
And I didn't really look at the rubric until I got my feedback back. And I'm not disappointed in my feedback. I was like, this is worrisome because I felt like it was higher. It was way higher than I was expecting. Like,
good.
It really was. But I was like, okay, so do I just maintain that level? Like, I don't know.
I really wish that we, like, for example, on task 2 and task 3, it's 12 and 16 points. But I wish, from my understanding, I wish we could see exactly where we are getting those points. I know Dr. Regular keeps mentioning, like, really focus on the provider rationale questions, or really explain the questions where it's like provider rationale or explain why. But like, I don't know, is that really where we're getting all of our points from? Because if there's 20 plus questions, if there's a 20 plus, 20 times 4 is whatever. So it's like, it doesn't make any sense for how there's only 16 or 12 points compared to, I don't know.
I guess I thought too much about all that, but you guys raise compelling points, my friends. You do.
I don't know. I just like to see exactly where the points are coming from. But that's
I'm with you because I'm like, cool. Okay, got this rubric and I have all these things. Oh my God. I uploaded I got a 1 on one of them because I uploaded a blank file.
Oh no.
I know, but oh well.
At least you got one.
Yeah, right. They could have gave me a 0.
Yeah.
So
well, I hope they're not brutal on my 2-page. It bothers me that they accepted the document. Why is there a max if it's not gonna tell me, oh, this is over the max?
Did you go back and look? Is that like why you're so for sure you did?
I mean, I just know that I didn't save like a 1-page version of my lesson plan. And I know that I made like a copy of my lesson plan to differentiate and just added differentiation. And I just didn't think to only keep it the representative page.
Yeah.
So
that
I don't
makes
know.
sense.
I'm not sure how much of sticklers about stuff like that they're going to be. That it was two pages.
Yeah.
Not one. How dare you? You get 0. You fail. You're never getting your teacher's license. Dream on.
Right.
So I don't know, but well, girls, we have certainly fulfilled our time obligations. I don't know if we needed to answer particular questions. It seems like we had a moment. We had our moments. We had important talks.
Yeah.
What do y'all think?
You know,
Do you
I
wanna
would.
Yeah. Do you want to jump on another Zoom and continue our discussion? Or are you guys good?
I mean, I feel good. I feel tired. I feel like I need to.
Yeah. I really just need to crank out all the stuff and get ready for Thursday to record. And
Are you gonna do
tomorrow's
work
a
right
long
now,
day.
Sarah?
Okay, well, reach out if you're feeling crazy. Like, don't go alone. Reach out to us. We will fluff you up, sis, and hold you up. That's why we're
Thank
here.
you.
I'm so thankful they put us in this group. Like,
Oh my gosh, yes,
so
me too.
thankful.
Yeah.
Oh, me too.
Super helpful.
Too.
All right, girls.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I will stop recording.
Perfect.